welcome to Real Estate with Ryan, and thank you for tuning in on a Saturday. So excited to be with you, talking a little real estate, having a little fun in the studio. It's always good to be with you guys. Hope you've had a great week, and thank you for tuning in. As always, we got a good show for you, talking real estate. No politics, none of that stuff, no sports. Although my Vols are doing pretty good, pretty excited about the Vols. Men's basketball, they're hooping up. They're starting their season. And the women are starting their season, so a lot going on as we approach the fall market, and it's here. It's hard to believe. We got 2 months left in November, and it gets on me when I'm specific about the market. But it's it's hard not to talk about fall in East Tennessee and everything that's going on and how beautiful it is. Look, we were just listing a property the other day, and we were going through kind of a rural part of the country and just saw all the pretty trees, all the colors. I mean, that is why if you've never come to East Tennessee, or if you're new or relocating in this area, you've got to check out East Tennessee, Smoky Mountains, lakes, rivers. It's gorgeous. So as always, we got some congratulations, some new listings before we start the show. And we want to congratulate Dorothy Drive on a successful closing. Congrats to Mr. Kitts. Appreciate you and your family, and glad to get that done for you. White Falcon Way is pending. Again, another investment cabin. If you followed me on last show, make sure you go to our website, ryancoleman.org. Join our investment group on Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, no worries. Just shoot me an email or call me at my office, 693-SOLD. We'll add you to our list. We're doing a lot of neat things with investors, off-market deals before you can actually get a hold of those before they actually hit the MLS. Good opportunity there. But as you know, White Falcon Road, multiple offers above list price. Super excited for her. Thorn Grove Pike, some land, beautiful land, almost 11 acres, sold pending. Not sold yet, but it'll be close here, coming up here in the next couple weeks. 506 Old Long Hollow, congrats, going under contract. And then Walnut Hill Lane, congrats to you guys, closing. So successful closings. And we have some new lots. If you're thinking about building that investment cabin or property, we got 2 lots in Shagbark. And then we have a new lot in Old Cherokee Orchard. That's in Gatlinburg. Yeah, so a lot of stuff going on out there. Multifamily there, possibility, or your forever home. And then we got another luxury cabin, $2.5 million, 3715 Cinnamon Way. Great potential there. Also have a basement that you can finish out, has more potential earning space. So we talk about those overnight rentals and reinvesting in the real estate market. And that's going to kind of tie into our show today. How is the effect on the inflation? How is inflation affecting the housing market? That's really, everybody knows we're kind of facing inflation. We see what's going on. If you buy just a gallon of milk, that costs more money. When you pull up at the pump, everything's super, super expensive. I think the other day I pulled up on my truck, normally was $60 or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's at $85, close to $90 to fill the tank. So we're feeling it. I know people across the country, I think the highest I've heard is $7, $8 a gallon. Nick, I'm not sure on that, but that's what we're seeing. So the inflation, how would that affect the housing market? And if you're not familiar with inflation over the time, I'm not going to be your teacher on inflation, but they gave this example. I heard somebody kind of mention this example about the inflation. So if you go back 30 years, and I hope I'm giving a good example. If I don't, guys, don't give me a hard time, try to do it the best I can. Again, this on the fly, man. I try to do the best I can. So let's give an example of inflation, and then we'll kind of go into the real estate market, how that will tie. So let's just say you took $35 and you kind of buried a hole in the backyard and you put that gold in the backyard. What would that buy 30 years ago? And you come out today, 30 years later, what would $35 of gold buy? That's an example of how you would use gold, silver to hedge inflation. What if you put the $35 30 years ago in the hole? Number one, it'd probably deteriorate. But then when you pull it out, what would it buy in 30 years? Would it buy the same? And what you'll see is that difference of what $35 will buy as an investment, $35 of gold, investments, real estate, different things like that, or paper currency. And so the paper currency As you know, they print it as fast as they can print the printing press. And so they keep printing, and that's causing inflation, kind of getting into a hyperinflation. And so what will that do with everything? Well, it's making everything super ultra expensive. And how will that affect the real estate market is what we're going to talk about today. And is that going to affect mortgages, rates, things like that? So it's a good topic. So as the housing prices tend to rise with inflation, economic supply and demand pressures of prices and goods remain the same. If the only change introduced the economy was addition of money, the prices of goods would rise. Of course, the economy is dynamic. Nothing ever stays the same. Now, there's a lot of pressure starting every day, a host of pressures starting every day. So some of those pressures are, look at the car industry. Some of the pressures on the supply and demand of those have those chips in your car, right? Those chips in your car, well, there's a backlog. Well, guess what happens? Now you see no lots. You see a lot of people offering on the lots to buy your car, your resale car, even if you don't turn in a car. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that in a long time, maybe ever, but maybe back in the late 90s, I saw that. But now, whether you have a car or not, they need inventory. So there's limited inventory on the market. So a lot of that is by all these cars that are made up with the chips, and I think that's a company that's obviously not getting the chip. Is it China? I don't know. Who knows where they're getting the chip from? But for whatever reason, there's a backload of these cars. Well, that makes the availability of the cars, or what's available, if you need one and you can't find one, right, you're going to have to pay a little more for it. So the dealers are marketing them up. They got higher prices, and that's the same across on the wholesale and auction market as well. They're getting way more money for those cars at auction because there is less. Well, real estate also has kind of come into that play, right? There's limited inventory. It's driving prices up. Get into bidding wars because there's not a lot of selections, right? You know, I want this property, this neighborhood, this school district, and we got new construction at X prices. And then we've got resales, and you got 4 or 5 offers. So they're driving prices up. But there's an influence of other factors in small and more money moving around quickly that will increase the price of nearly everything, including the housing, they say. So we know housing is geared as a good asset, but when it comes to inflation, is part of the home's value will rise when the inflation rate rises because it's a leveraged asset. Not every house is paid for. We have a lot of loans on them. So with good interest rate, that doesn't change the amount that you pay. But some homes may not increase, although the value of it might. So when you buy real estate, you make a good down payment, perhaps 20 to 30% of the house price. The house price rises by the rate of inflation times the cost of the house. Not all the cost of your down payment, though. So inflation doubled the value of your house. It may have quadrupled the value of your down payment. If you look at a fixed rate mortgage, you have done better because you're paying the payment dropped in inflation adjusted dollars. You are paying less for the loan than you did when you took it out. So we're talking a little bit about in this article, talks about supply and demand when that comes into places. The oversupplying of the housing, obviously, as I mentioned, bringing prices down or up. But we also look at the mortgage rates. We also see that over time that if the mortgage rates are increasing, that does affect people buying in the market and slowing of that economy. Demand will also decrease. So if you get the rates start going up, Feds start talking about making the rates go up, less affordable, then the demand's going to decrease. Inflation's obviously going to have to end at some point. One of the economists says that it has a devastating effect on people and fixed incomes. It has an effect on everybody. Nobody wants to pay more than you need to. And these are some of the things that we're dealing with throughout history, where you have nations that are devaluing their currency. And they're doing that usually to revigorate the economies. The largest wave of currency devaluation occurred in the 1930s, when 9 different nations, including the U.S., deliberately devalued their money. If the U.S. was to devalue their dollar again, it would have varying effects. So, for example, the U.S. dollar could positively affect the mortgage and credit card debt for some, but not all. some other examples of that, you're seeing people worry about devaluation, currency, inflation. That's why you're seeing the rise of, the cryptocurrencies. You're seeing Bitcoin. You're seeing these ads for gold, silver, and then, of course, talking about real estate being good investments to take some of the currency because we're scared that they're going to keep printing and printing and printing, and it's just lessening what we're able to do. Currency devaluation occurs when the value of the currency declines in relation to the other. For example, the U.S. dollar was once worth 2 Canadian dollars, and now it's only worth 1. So we're coming on a break. We'll talk more about this real estate on the other side of the break. You guys stay with us.
Success is achieved on the practice field. This is where I perfect my craft. It's hours of preparation to ensure that I am game ready.
Real estate's no different. It takes preparation and a solid game plan to achieve the best results.
Whether you're watching a game
or buying or selling a home, trust your hometown experts.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. First part of the break, we're talking about fun stuff, inflation, how everything's costing, how will it affect the real estate market. But first of all, before we get going on the show, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and following us. I always get busy in the show, and don't forget to tell you guys, I thank you so much for following us. We know it's the holidays coming up. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's staying healthy, taking care. And, I've got a bunch of calls this week and some other calls over the week, just saying hi and asking about it and questions, and I really appreciate it. I want you guys to know that we're your real estate experts in town. If you need anything at all, it doesn't mean you have to hire us. Just whatever you need, we got your back here. And easy number, 693-SOLD or ryancoleman.org. And remember, we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, so check us out. We've got this radio show streaming, so if you missed it, no worries. We got you covered. You can go in there and watch the stream. Also have you on your Apple and Android podcast to check us out there. Now, every week we're at 11 o'clock at Talk Radio 92.3 FM and then News Talk 98.7 at 1. Getting back into the show, talking a little fun, inflation. And we're talking about the cryptocurrencies and gold, silver, real estate, where people were diversifying their portfolio to kind of go back into investing, scared of the hyperinflation by our government. They feel like they're just printing away. And these are good things to keep a alert on. Listen, we're closing out the end of the year. Tax time's coming for business people, for everybody, really. And looking at your numbers, kind of approaching 2022. We still think real estate is a great investment. We want to talk about inflation. If you're not aware of that, it can easily increase on us. It's not a fun topic, but keep your mind kind of open to what's going on. I always think that the more you know, the better you are, and the more we can work together as a team, we can help you. I don't think there's one strategy that fits all. It's what you and your family that come up with in a game plan. Hopefully what we can do is introduce some ideas, different plans, or maybe get a little inspiration on something that you're doing that we can help you along with. So we talk about the currency devaluation, and I was coming at the end of the break. We were talking about, for example, that the U.S. dollar was once worth 2 Canadian dollars, and now it's only worth 1. So the U.S. dollar has lost its value against its Canadian counterpart. That makes it challenging. So when devaluation occurs, currencies across 30% would raise the dollar. So, for example, the value of the assets, such as homes, would increase by 43%. Let me break this down to you just to kind of know what I'm talking about. In other words, a worldwide currency devaluation would make your $200,000 home with a $236,000 underwater mortgage worth $286,000 overnight. The economists believe that national currency devaluations may revigorate, I'm saying that right, the slumping economies across the world. So I don't think there's any answer. What I would say from me to you, my family to yours, look at all options. Do your research. I think that is huge. Do your research. And I don't think it's mainstream media. Stay off mainstream media. Look at your independents. Look at your, get on your telegrams. Look on your Facebook, different things that you can. Network. Speaking of network, right, Nick? We've got our investor group. Make sure you go to our Facebook page or our Facebook page as a whole. We're giving away tickets for the men's and women's basketball game. Okay, so all you have to do is like, subscribe, and share, and we're going to enter to win. And we're giving away tickets all the rest of the year. So that's kind of like our little gift to you guys. And go see the Vols. Take a little time to go see both our men and women. And of course, we're closing out before you know it. We still have football tickets left as well. So that's kind of good stuff. And we'll keep you up to date with all the housing information and whatever we can do to help you. But kind of tying into this show about inflation, that with everything costing so much, are the houses less affordable than they were in a decade ago? So everything's so expensive. Obviously, it's less affordable now to purchase a house than it did before. So for example, back in 2005, how about 1995? Or even go back to 1985. What were the prices? The pricings have appreciated dramatically over the last 45 years, just like milk, bread, and pretty much almost all consumer products. However, when you look at just the housing prices alone, there's just one component that makes up the monthly cost. It's a key factor of the mortgage rate at the time of the purchase. I didn't know that. I mean, it obviously makes sense if you start thinking about it. I got started in the 90s. So I've been doing it 21, going 22 years. And I think the rates were 7, maybe 7.5. Maybe they were in the 8s. There were 8s, but then they hovered all the way in the 6s, 6.5, 6.25. I remember one of my houses, we refinanced and I was at 6%. I thought we were pretty excited. We never see rates like we have today. So we're super spoiled. But let's look back at the cost of home ownership over the last 5 decades. Adjust for inflation by converting the cost to $2,021. This is a good idea. Let's kind of look through this together and kind of go through. We have a chart, so you guys are not going to see the chart, but we'll have it on social media for you. We'll put it up for you. But let's talk through it, comparing going all the way back to 1975 to current today. So the median sales price at the end of the second quarter of each year, and assume that the buyer made a 10% down payment. So let's look at 1975. You guys can remember those years where mortgages were $35,000, around $35,000. Well, the interest rate back in 1975 was 8.89, with a principal and interest payment of $280. Well, look at the monthly fixed rate for June, as reported by Freddie Mac. Well, today, that's 2.77. That's not bad. But the mortgage cost, a little steeper than 1975, $337,410. Got a calculator here. We can use it, but let's run through some of these. So 1980, the average house was $57,000. So 5 years went on up, and your principal and interest payment would be $793. And so your interest rate was about 12%. Let's go to 1990, $114,120. Interest rate, 10%. 1995, $120,000. Interest rate, 7.57. Let's go to the 2000, $146,880 with an interest rate of 8.29. 2005, $210 with interest rate of about 5.58. Makes sense. Okay. 2010, $197,000. Oh, went down a little bit. $197,000 with a 4.74 rate. 2015, $260,000 with a 3.98 rate. And in 2020, of course, $290,000 with a 3.16. What are we seeing there? What is it safe to say? That we've seen prices with strong appreciation over the last years, and mortgage rates have remained relatively flat. Therefore, affordability weakened. In 2010, Home prices plummeted after the housing crash 15 years ago. 1/3 of all sales were distressed properties, foreclosures, short sales. They sold at major discounts and negatively affected surrounding homes. At every point, even in 1975, it was more expensive to buy a home than it was today. So what are we looking there? So we all remember the housing crash. We all remember what happened there. So are we in that same situation now? Are we going to have that oversupply of inventory? And what are we going to do with the raising prices? Well, a lot of experts in the market think that we're not in the same crisis before. There was a lot of different storms brewing in that subprime market where a lot of mortgages were on the market. They didn't have a job, didn't matter. They still gave you a loan, no money down, all these different things that added to the inventory. So a lot of regulation has changed since then. And we just don't see that inventory that could have that effect. But you can still have that effect by everything with COVID and everything that went on. So a lot of people are in forbearance. A lot of people had hardship, right? And so they could be facing foreclosure that could be affecting sales in the neighborhood. The best thing to do is buy a property that if you at least put 20% down, it's going to put you in a powerful position that when you do sell the property, if the market adjusted and you did need to sell, it's going to put you in a position that you can actually sell it, pay your cost to get out of it, and actually leave. The challenge is kind of in that example is what if we put just a minimum amount down, the market changes, you could be underwater. That's what we saw back in the 2015 market, 2008 market, okay? Hope you've enjoyed the show. A little inflation, talking about what's going on. Overall, real estate's a safe investment. Every investment takes a little risk. Feel good about it. Make a good decision. And when you need any help, you know who to call for your real estate advice. It's an easy number, 693-SOLD, or visit me at ryancoleman.org. You guys have a wonderful weekend. See you next Saturday.